Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, regardless of where you are. It's always a great time to learn new things and to discuss the gospel enlightened by Spiritism. Today, we're going to be reviewing chapter 28 of the book Our Daily Bread. And the title is To What End? That's the title of the lesson. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Kardec Radio for the opportunity to provide to us programs just like this one and to be also in several platforms. They are in the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. And an interesting thing about X and the Kardec Radio is that you can actually post your comments and your questions to that particular platform. They also have a podcast type of application where you can have access to different programs as well. Before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to raise for all of us to raise our minds and to connect with our spiritual friends and to thank for this amazing doctrine that has taught us so many great things and has inspired us and has helped us through hard times and has also enlightened us during the good times, the best of times. Thank you, our friends, spiritual friends, for all the great things, for all the lessons. Thank you for always being there. Thanks, Jesus, for being our model and our guide. Thank you, God, for not only creating this amazing, awesome universe, but all the great things and also establishing laws that make the universe so fair, both from a physical, natural standpoint, but also from a moral standpoint as well. May your peace be with God, with us always. So be it. All right, so today we're going to be reviewing chapter 28 of the book Our Daily Bread. It is titled To What End? And it is based on the first letter to the Corinthians by Paul, and it's chapter 10, verse 23. And this is just a fragment of it, of this particular verse, and goes like this. But not everything is beneficial. So again, Paul wrote, not everything is beneficial. If we refer to the English Standard Version, there is a more extensive statement here, and it reads like this: All things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. I like this particular reference here because, again, just because something is allowed for us to do, it doesn't mean that particular action, that particular choice is actually constructive, is actually helpful to, if we refer here to the standard English version. Emmanuel provides a very good explanation when he indicates that there have always existed indefinable individuals who thought they have not hurt anyone equally, not benefited anyone. That who though they have not, okay, let me read this. There have always existed indefinable individuals who, though they have not hurt anyone equally, have not benefited anyone. So it's kind of like of an interesting conundrum that we see here, and all of us can identify with this particular situation because all of us are in a position in some shape or form in which we're not hurting anybody, but also we're not building anything, we're not creating anything. And it is interesting for us to see that. And again, it is not enough for us to just be in that position of basically, not doing anything bad. Okay, that's a start, that's the beginning. But also, what is it that you're doing for the universe? How are you constructing, or how are you contributing? How are you adding to the universe? What, the term that people use so much in business, added value. What added value are you providing to the whole universe? And all of us are capable of doing that, regardless of our position and our level of spiritual development. Emmanuel continues here, indicating that, examined under the same prism, the activities on the path require a sincere interpretation so that they are not lost in uselessness. So, when we think about our different activities on the path, so activities on the path of our lives, on our path of our evolution, and we have to be sincere, we have to do the inner analysis, the self analysis to determine, okay, so is it what we're doing, is it actually useful? Emmanuel provides here with some examples. So he continues by indicating that it is perfectly correct for a human being to dedicate himself to literature or to honest business practices of the world, and no one will be able to contest the laudable character of these who conscientiously choose their personal line of useful service. So Emmanuel gives us two examples here. First of all, a literary like a writer, and a business person. Of course, can be any activity on earth. Could be a teacher, could be an engineer, could be a technician, could be somebody in the military, could be somebody in government, regardless of your position. So again, we all choose our different lines of works, our different occupations. And of course, we're talking about all these different professional occupations, but this refers to any kind of occupation because all work is sanctified, all work is in line with the law of work. Work is a universal law, and regardless of whatever career, professional choice we have in this present life, that does not indicate that that's going to be it. I mean, we're immortal souls. So whatever profession we have today, it might change in a future life. And a lot of times it does change in this present life as well. Emmanuel continues here. Meanwhile, it would be justifiable to know the ultimate purpose of the writer or the purpose of the negotiator. So again, he takes this to the next level because now Emmanuel is indicating, okay, so it is interesting for us to really, really look into our activities, into our daily activities, and think, what's the purpose? What purpose are we serving with what we do? Emmanuel continues here, of what good will it be to the first, in this case to the writer, to produce great works replete with verbal refinement and theoretical outbursts, if his words are empty of constructed, enlightening thought on behalf of the eternal plan of the soul? So again, he's now talking about a writer, a hypothetical writer. So let's say you can write the most beautiful works of literature, but again, so what if and if they're not in line with the plan of the soul, if they're not in line, if they're not constructing, if they're not enlightening anyone? And again, I do not want to be critical for any writers, but again, there is there is a kind of writing that teaches us something. There is a kind of writing that makes us better people, and there's a writing kind of writing that entertains us, which is fine, which is great. But in we should always analyze. We again in this case, of course, not everybody is a writer, but what kind of works that you're reading, are they constructive? Are they bringing a message of positivity to you? Are they making you think? Are they helping you grow intellectually? Are they helping you grow morally? Are they making you wiser? And again, that's just an example. Now he refers now to the merchant, Emmanuel in this case. In what way will the merchant take advantage of his immense fortune achieved through hard work and calculation if it remains stagnant in safes awaiting the folly of the descendants? So again, on the other hand, let's say a hypothetical businessman or merchant um, who has accumulated a large sum of money in the coffers, and of course, we can talk about money, we can talk about all kinds of assets here. So if somebody is in that situation, so is that it? I mean, are we producing? Are we generating funds and riches just for it, right? So, or should we use it? And again, we're talking about a merchant here, but it applies to anyone. Any of our material assets, are our material assets just sitting there? And what I mean by that is that are they actually being applied to the construction, to the betterment, to our own betterment, to our construction, to our construction, and to the betterment of the universe? So that is a question we need to ask. There's nothing wrong in driving a very nice car, but again, how are you using that vehicle? Are you using that vehicle also just to commute to work, or are you also using it to provide charity, to provide comfort to other ones? Again, there's nothing wrong with the former, but the latter is an example of a transcendent application of that material asset. And again, when I mention a nice vehicle, again, it can be a nice vehicle or it cannot be such a nice vehicle. It can be a brand new car, or it can be a used car. It can be a luxury sedan, or it can be a simple, small subcompact. It doesn't matter. It's still an asset that we have, and it is up to us to use it constructively. Emmanuel continues here by indicating that in both cases, it cannot be said that each of those individuals were involved in an illicit activity. However, they wasted precious time forgetting the fact that minor accomplishments yield an edificantly finality. So here is indicating that again, there's nothing wrong with us to pursue success or to pursue riches, for instance, or or literary achievements or scientific discoveries, whatever it is that we're doing on planet Earth, whatever activity it is. And again, there's nothing wrong with the quote unquote modest activities. I learned very early in my life the purpose and the value of that sometimes working hard in a quote unquote less acknowledged, less prestigious position can be, and how important all lines of work are. So again, it doesn't matter whatever it is that we do, and whatever it is that we're doing in our daily activities. So we should never forget that minor accomplishments yield an edificantly finality. So again, whatever little things we do, they can have an impact on the universe. They can have a positive impact on the universe. Again, if I'm a writer, the little words that I write, sometimes I can put in nuggets in those in my writing that bring comfort to others. Again, if I'm a business person, I have all the opportunities to treat others with respect and to use whatever assets I have amassed for the greater good. And again, if I'm an engineer, an IT professional, any kind of technologist, and so I have an opportunity to do what's good as well. If I'm a lawyer, if I'm a doctor, of course, if I'm in a health, one of the health fields. So there's so much that I can do for others. So Emmanuel continues here indicating that the laborer who is conscious of his, in this case, his or her required responsibilities does not deviate from the straight path. So again, even as we work, even in our daily activities, we should never forget our values. In this case here, our spiritual values, because again, that's our true path. That is our straight path. That's the path that allows us to progress towards the Creator. And Emmanuel finalizes here indicating that there is much affliction and bitterness in the factories of terrestrial improvement because its laborers are primarily concerned with material gain. And again, there's nothing wrong with pursuing material gain. And again, in factories here, of course, Emmanuel uses the term factories, but applies to any line of work, not just in manufacturing. Whatever is that whatever professional activities that we practice. So in all of those, there is bitterness and affliction because if all you're doing is just looking for material gain, it's never going to be enough. You're always going to be looking for more and more and more. He finalized here indicating that, so again, let me just read from the beginning of the paragraph. So there's much affliction and bitterness in the factories of terrestrial improvement because its laborers are primarily concerned with material gain, overlooking the purposes of such improvements. Meanwhile, projects and experiments are intensified, but the just and necessary edification is always missing. And again, so whatever activity we have, if all we're doing is just looking again for the material gain, and this material gain can be expressed in so many different things besides just the collecting monetary assets, but then there's the opportunity for us to gain right, obtain recognition. That would be a great gain. Obtain a prize, or even the praise, right? Sometimes we try to get the praise from our bosses, we try to get the praise from our coworkers, and even from our family members as well. But if that's all we're looking for, it's never going to be enough. We're going to have always get this bitterness, and we're going to be overlooking the purposes of such improvement, right? The purpose, the real purpose that we're here, which is to progress. So we see here that a lot of times, and again, it's never enough. Meanwhile, project and experiments are intensified, but the just necessary edification is always missing. Again, there's always opportunities in the material world for us to develop, for us to achieve something. They always come to us. There's always some level of opportunity, some level of opportunity for us in whatever field of work that we are involved with. But we should never let the true and necessary edification to be missing in whatever we do. We should always apply again these values that we understand, which are that refer us to our spiritual growth. Those are true values. So that's what we need to cultivate, regardless again. And one does not negate the other. Having a just and honest line of work does not negate the fact, and actually being very successful in whatever it is that we do does not go against being very successful as well as spiritually and making great accomplishments from a spiritual standpoint as well. Before we end our conversation, I'd like to refer us to question 932 of the Spirit's book. And here, Kardec asks, again, question 932. Why do the wicked in this world so often have power over the good? So his question is, what is it that the wicked people, what is it that the quote unquote bad people, they always have power over people who are mainly good? And the spirits are very wise when they indicate to us that this is a direct consequence of the weakness of the good. The wicked are captivating and bold, while the good are often timid. So we see here that again, so people who have good intentions, who have a good heart, they are not bold enough. They are timid here. So it's kind of like, so the spirits are again very intelligently, they're providing us this dichotomy of being captivating and being bold, actually going after something, being bold. And as the opposite, which would be being timid, stay into yourself only. And they're saying, however, that's not how it is. That whenever, so it says, whenever the good are determined to take over, they will prevail. So they're not saying, the spirits are not saying when the good are determined to take over. It's not saying, hey, sometime in the future the good is going to take over. No, whenever, in every occasion that are determined to take over. So whenever those who are good, they're determined to take action, they prevail, right? So we prevail not only because what's good is good, what's true is always true, but also because the universe is predestined to become a better place. The world is our planet Earth is predestined to become a better place. So that is our destination. And of course, we can always count with the help of our spiritual friends as well. So that is our conversation for this time. I hope you've enjoyed it and take them. If you've liked it, make sure that you click on the little like button. And if you have not done so, click on the bell button so you can subscribe and receive notifications of programs like this one or other amazing programs that Kardec Radio offers to us. And again, Kardec Radio is in several social media platforms, and they even have their own apps. So make sure that you check out in the different platforms and also other amazing programs that Kardec Radio makes available to all of us as well. So at this moment, let's close our eyes again and thank the Lord for all the opportunities for improvement that we've been receiving on earth. Those opportunities, they come to us through our families, through our friends, a lot of times, and many times through our enemies as well, and also through our professional or daily activities. We always see opportunities to get better, to improve ourselves, to recognizing our shortcomings, to work on those defects so that we can become a little bit better every day. We ask for inspiration from the Lord and from our spiritual friends during the moments of difficulties and strength to do what's right when the moment appears. So be it.